Getting all around my room, my world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the World of Juice channel, and welcome to my first official Madden 25 rebuild here in the new cycle. I'm excited. I cannot wait to get back into the rebuilding atmosphere, the rebuilding realm, because for the most part over the years since I've been rebuilding teams, regardless of how the style of rebuild happens, I've been fairly successful. I probably have a success rate that's pretty high in rebuilding teams and winning championships. This one is probably going to go on the reins of successful because I'm starting with already a pretty solid squad. Just have to add a few pieces here and there. But I'm just excited to get back into the rebuilding mindset, drafting players, signing the right free agents, spending the money where it needs to be spent, and in the end, holding up a Lombardi trophy with the team that we've put together. So today's team, the first team that we will take on in Madden 25, like I mentioned just before, is a team that's already in a fairly good situation, but a team that in real life needs a little bit of help with recent injuries and off-the-field things that have happened. We are going to be rebuilding the Minnesota Vikings. And we are rebuilding the Minnesota Vikings because not only did they tragically have one of their defensive backs pass away in the offseason, but they've had tremendous amounts of injuries to DBs, to tight ends, linebackers, and obviously their most important position, which is the quarterback spot. J.J. McCarthy is now injured for the entirety of his rookie year. He will sit out the entire rookie season, or at least that's the thought right now. Aaron Rodgers would have something to say about it coming back early, but I think he tore his ACL or he did something with his knee, and he is now going to be out for the entirety of the season, so they will have to go to Sam Darnold or Nick Mullins or somebody else as their starting quarterback for the season. That does not spell playoffs for the Minnesota Vikings. And maybe they wouldn't have made the playoffs even with J.J. McCarthy. Who knows? Everybody knows, if you've been around the channel for a while, you know I'm not the biggest J.J. McCarthy fan in the world. I didn't like him in college, not just because he played for that team, the team up north, but because when I watched those games, and I didn't just watch the games against the Buckeyes, I watched a lot of his games because I was hate watching them. So I watched a lot of his games, and a lot of the offense, to be fair, they had two of the best college running backs in the nation, but a lot of the offense, a lot of the offense is hand the ball off to Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, run through that great offensive line, and check down the ball to short passes to receivers. That's a lot of J.J. McCarthy's offense. Is that going to translate to the NFL? Now, to be fair to J.J. McCarthy, he does have some nice mobility. Maybe not NFL mobility, but he does have some nice mobility. He can extend the pocket. He can get out and keep plays alive and do all that kind of stuff, be a little bit creative. But is that going to translate successfully to the NFL? Who knows? And we'll have to wait another year to find out. But we are going to be taking J.J. McCarthy as the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, not injured. He's going to be the quarterback for us. And we are going to rebuild this team around him, trying to put the right pieces to the team, to the offense, and to the defense, and hopefully win a Super Bowl with the Minnesota Vikings, which is something they have not done. So we need to, they've been very close. There have been some tragic moments in Minnesota Viking history, but they have not gotten the big one. But maybe we can change that in this rebuild. Now, to be fair to Minnesota Vikings fans and to J.J. McCarthy, there is a lot of good pieces here. You've got Justin Jefferson, you've got Jordan Addison, you've got the new addition of Aaron Jones coming over from Green Bay, you've got T.J. Hawkinson, you've got maybe two of the best tackle combinations in the league in Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw. So the offense is already fairly well constructed for J.J. McCarthy, for us in the game. So all we have to do is maybe put a couple of pieces here and there on the offensive line, and then add a couple extra pieces on the defense, and we'll be good to go. So without further ado, it is time to get into the Minnesota Viking rebuild, the first rebuild on the World of Juice channel in Madden 25. Hopefully, it doesn't go down in flames. That would be pretty embarrassing. If you go on to enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club. If you have any suggestions for teams or challenges you want to see me do in the future, leave them down below in the comments, and let's go rebuild the J.J. McCarthy Minnesota Vikings. This is the squad that we start up with. Obviously, we've got this man right here, J.J., who we talked about in the intro, has now an injury that will take him out for the entirety of the rookie year. But his base stats here as a 73 overall with hidden development is fairly solid for a rookie quarterback. I mean, he's already got pretty decent accuracies. His throw power is really good. His throw on the run's pretty good. His awareness will go up with time. And his speed and mobility, like I mentioned in the intro, is suitable enough for what we need him to do. And in simulation, it doesn't really matter that much. If we were playing the games, maybe you'd want his speed and agility to be a little bit higher. But since we're just simulating games, it's not going to matter too much. And at the start, I will mention this right off the bat, we are not going to change playbooks right now. We're going to stay in Minnesota offense, stay in Minnesota defense until maybe we get a couple years down the line and I'm seeing that there's just not any success. Then we'll switch to the OP playbooks and try to get a championship. But right now, we're just going to try to ride it out with the normal playbooks. The only thing I might change is the schemes just to kind of get the right percentage fits and everything like that. But then we've got the new addition in the backfield alongside J.J. McCarthy, Aaron Jones, which was kind of a shock that the Green Bay Packers just straight up moved on from him. I didn't think this was going to happen, and then the fact that he goes to the enemy, to Minnesota, is kind of crazy, but he's here, and he's a good running back for us, but he is 29 years old. It should be good enough. We should be contending for a Super Bowl before he gets too old to where we have to look for a new running back, so I'm assuming that Aaron Jones is going to be our guy when we win the championship, but it's not guaranteed. And then, obviously, something that is guaranteed is the fact that Justin Jefferson is the #1 wide receiver on this squad. I mean, he's just a freak. There's not really any other word to describe how good Justin Jefferson is other than he is a freak. I mean, a 98 overall, captain on this team, maybe the best wide receiver in the league. It's debatable. He's definitely top 3, I would have to say. He's just so good. And then, speaking of just so good, Jordan Addison is right there. I mean, he is a freak as well. He's got 90 speed, 92 acceleration, a former Biletnikoff winner in college. He is a freak of nature. He is super, super good, and he's a lot younger than Justin Jefferson. Well, I mean, not a lot younger, but he is younger than Justin Jefferson, and he is a stud. So building around these two guys is going to be a lot of fun. We already have 2 #1 wide receivers on our squad. Maybe we add a third in the draft or in free agency or something like that. But right now, we don't have to worry about the offense really at all. We've got our quarterback. We've got, for now, our running back. And we've got 2 amazing wide receivers. And speaking of amazing receiving talents, we've also got one of the better tight ends in the league in TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinsocks. He is here with 94 catching. He is just amazing. He's a great tight end. He's one of the better receiving tight ends in the league. And he comes out of Tight End University in Iowa. I mean, to be fair, it's probably Iowa that would be Tight End University. I mean, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, the new guy, Laporta from the Lions. I mean, they just keep pumping out great tight ends at Iowa. Noah Fant, I mean, he's not a great tight end, but he had his moments. So, I mean, they just had great tight ends at Iowa. They're very good at doing that. And the offensive line, I talked about Christian Darrisaw. I talked about Brian O'Neill. They are really just the cornerstones of this offense. I love them so much. They are going to be our 2 guys. Now, Brian O'Neill is getting up there in age. He is 28 years old. He should be able... Offensive linemen usually can go into their mid-30s. So, he should be good to go for this rebuild. Hopefully, he will. And then Darius, obviously, super young, so he'll be good. Dalton Reisner. How old are you, Dalton? You are 29, so maybe we have to replace Dalton. He's still a serviceable overall with star development, so that'll help him out. But maybe we draft somebody that's a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe we trade him. Who knows? Contracts could come up. I don't know. I haven't really experimented with who is going to be our true offensive line, but we definitely need to upgrade right guard and center, not only for higher overalls, but for development traits as well, because obviously offensive linemen without development traits just never really turn into anything. So that is the offense. The defense is a different story. It's okay, but it's by no means a playoff caliber defense. We've got Harrison Smith, but he's very, very advanced age. He is 35 years old. He's probably going to retire after this season, which I may trade him to capitalize on any value that he has, rather than just losing him for nothing. I know that might be considered a little bit cheesy, but we don't do realism on this channel, so Harrison Smith might get traded to capitalize on whatever value he may or may not have before he retires. But the real piece to this team, the real piece de resistance, is Dallas Turner from Alabama. He is a star development rookie. I know that because I did the all rookies on one team video a couple of days ago, and I knew that he had star development. I have seen him progress very, very well in the right defense. So hopefully Minnesota's defense is the right defense for him to turn into what I know he can become, which is a freak of nature. So he's great on the defense or on the linebacking core, but the rest of the linebacking core probably needs a little bit of work. I like Ivan Pace, Cashman's whatever, and Van Ginkel's cool, but they're probably going to need to get replaced, I would think. Cam Bynum, this is Cam Bynum, right? Yeah, Cam Bynum. I like Cam Bynum. He's young. He's got star development. He should probably be the guy in the free safety spot for the rebuild, so that's good. We've got Byron Murphy at corner, but there's really no other people that are going to factor. I wouldn't think, is this Malachi Blackman or Mekhi Blackman? Mekhi Blackman could turn into something if he gets a development trait, but just normal development just never is good. You never want to have normal development because it takes so long for you to grow and play. But if you have a good season with normal development, then obviously you can go up to star, and then it's off to the races. The defensive line is probably going to be the biggest upgrade that we need to make. We need to pretty much overhaul this entire defensive line, get new players at each position. I like Harrison Phillips, but he's older, and he's only an 80 overall. And then Tillery and Bullard are just not going to get the job done. They're not going to cut it. So the defense is definitely going to need a lot more of a helping hand than the offense is. We just need to put a couple of offensive linemen in position, and then we need to maybe get another wide receiver or two, and then the offense is pretty much done. So the defense is definitely going to need a little bit more work. But we are going to be using auto-generated rookies for this rebuild, because why would we use anything other? And it looks like we could have a corner at the top of the draft, Manny Wheeler. Only 6 foot, but that's not bad for a corner, obviously. And it tells us up there in the team needs. They say we need a quarterback. We don't need a quarterback. But every other position we do need. So we're going to hopefully get some of those in this draft. I don't know. Ooh, there's a defensive linebacker and a defensive end. Ooh, okay. There's some good guys at the top of the draft. We definitely want to make sure that our scouts are scouting the right positions, which, by the way, let's take a look. So we are scouting cornerback and wide receiver as our national scout. That is just not what I want to do at all. Fire you. Absolutely. Absolutely fire you. So, ooh, corner and middle linebacker might not be bad because we do need both of those positions. Is there a corner and outside linebacker maybe? Because I would like to get corner and outside linebacker, but it doesn't look like there is. There's cornerback and receiver, obviously. That's a pretty standard one. I think I might go corner and middle linebacker as our national scout because there's just a lot of people that we need at those positions. So let's assign you to the national side of things. We don't need 2 tight end or just 2 tight end scouts in general. So let's get rid of the tight end and quarterback one because, like I said, we don't need a quarterback, and that was our 2-star scout. So let's go by 2 stars, and let's find a 2-star scout at a position of need, probably interior offensive line and maybe defensive line as well. Is that an option? I guess we could keep scrolling here. Yeah, okay, so here we go. Sophia Walsh has interior offensive line and defensive end. I think I'm going to hire, hire her and then have her be the 2-star scout, which it's going to be the West. Perfect. So now that is all set up, and I think that's going to be it. I don't want to fire anybody else. I think that's going to be good. The region breakdown says that corner is one of the strengths of the class, as it usually is in auto-generated drafts in Madden. So we're already good there. And we will continue to simulate. So I'm going to simulate to a week 8 mark. We'll see how everything's going. I'm not going to probably do any of these storylines or anything like that because I just going to take too much time and I don't really care about them. So we're just going to simulate to the week 8 mark and see how this team is doing in the first season. Mainly how J.J. McCarthy is doing, because that's really going to be the standard of, are we going to win games or are we not going to win games? Is J.J. McCarthy capable of carrying this offense? We'll find out. We made it to week 8. We are 2-4 on the season, which is kind of around what I expected, especially with such a low overall quarterback with JJ. So I'm not super shocked that we're at 2-4. If we're 2-4 still a couple of years later, then I'm going to be a little bit more concerned. But right now in year number 1, I'm not too concerned by it at all. We do have some negotiations to think about. We have Cam Bynum, who I certainly want to bring back. Byron Murphy, I want to bring back. Harrison Phillips, probably not. Dalton Reisner, I probably want to bring back for now because we don't have another option. I forgot that N'Keal Harry was here. That's kind of crazy. Other than that, we're going to accept the option on Louis Cine. Other than that, I don't really know. I mean, Aaron Jones, like I said, I probably want to bring him back just because of the talent level that he is. So why don't we just go right ahead and offer him a new contract? 4 years, we pay him maybe $6 million, and we probably have to pay him a little bit more because he doesn't really want to be back. He's going to come back for $6 million bonus, $6 million salary. He's back. That's not going to take up too much money. But I will offer a big-time extension to Cam Bynum because I want him to be our free safety of the future. So maybe we offer him a little bit of that, and he says he's going to be back. Welcome back. Now, Byron Murphy, we don't have to go too crazy. I'll give him a 4-year deal, maybe $3 million, $3.5 million, and he should accept that because he wants to be back. He declined it. Oh, I read that wrong. I thought it said he's back. Never mind. We'll have to give him a little bit more money. Dalton Reisner, he's not that expensive. I don't really have a backup plan right now because I haven't gotten to the draft yet. So I might as well offer him a new contract just in case we don't. Ooh, okay. He doesn't come back. So we have to bump his money up a little bit more. Everybody else, I just don't really think we need, and especially need to waste money on. Maybe we bring back one of the quarterbacks just to have a backup, but in simulation, you don't really need to have a backup, so probably not. I don't really want to waste that money when we can spend it somewhere else. So we will have to wait a little bit longer to re-sign those guys. But the main point of this is the national focus. Obviously, we're going to make this focus on corners because let me just look at the corners first. Let me look at the position of corner. So we've only got one top 5 guy, and that is that Manny Wheeler dude. And his play rec is a C, but his man coverage we don't know. So then there's a couple of just true round 1 guys, but maybe one of these guys' true talents could be top 5. It's possible. There's a 6'3" corner as well. So I think I'm going to use my national scout or my national focus as DB. So we'll send that as corner, and the focus has been set. Hopefully we can bring in a couple of corners to pair alongside Byron Murphy, and we can be good to go. But now we have to simulate to now week 13 instead of week 11 because that's when they moved the focus players to. And it looks like we got a linebacker breakout. Please be for Dallas Turner or Ivan Pace. I'll take Ivan Pace too. It is Ivan Pace. He's been stepping up recently. Choose a new goal. 5+. Oh, so they don't just give you a base thing to do. He has to get 5+ tackles and a sack, interception, or a forced fumble. What about if I choose a new goal? What does that do? I'm on board with giving him a shot. What does that do? Okay, what are you thinking? 2 tackles for loss, 5 tackles, interception. I'm going to do 5 tackles and a tackle for loss. I think that's a little... interception I don't think is going to happen. So I could do 2 tackles for loss, but I think I'm going to do 5 tackles and a tackle for loss. I don't want him to be... He's not going to be focusing on getting an interception because that's just not going to happen. There's no way he gets an interception. So there is a chance... I don't know if I like that as much as just getting the base. Oh, you have to do this certain thing to get up to star, superstar, whatever. Did he get it? We lose to the Colts, but did he get the upgrade? Because I would love to have Ivan Pace be a star development linebacker. That would be so awesome. Oftentimes on defense, it's not about it. Oh, so he didn't get it, I'm assuming. I hear, Coach. I did want to do more. He probably didn't get that tackle for loss, I would guess. He earned 2,500 XP, but he did not go up to star development. Okay. That is kind of upsetting, but I kind of figured that's how it would happen. The Jaguars are 7-2, by the way. They're kind of killing it. We keep losing, which is not ideal, but maybe for year number 1 it is. Maybe for year number 1 is. As long as our guys continue to grow, the guys that we want to grow, like Jordan Addison, Byron Murphy, J.J. McCarthy, as long as those guys continue to develop and get higher overalls, then in a couple seasons we should be ready to go. But we continue to lose and lose and lose. It's kind of crazy, actually. We're certainly getting around number 1 pick territory here. We do beat the Bears, which is hilarious. And now we get to week 13, which is the main thing. Dallas Turner's a big one that we need to upgrade, that's for sure. So let's get to our focus player scenarios where we can get a little bit more in depth with some of these other players. So we know 75% of Manny Wheeler. He is a 6-foot man-to-man corner. He doesn't have the physicals that I'm looking for, but he does look fairly good. Now, what about this linebacker, Sean Hutchins? Probably have to put one in on him. Ooh, but he doesn't look good at all physically. Okay. No, we're going to forget about... Sean Hutchins is not a guy that I want to go after, but Jerome Armstrong, maybe. 6'3" power rusher. Man, did they tone down the physicals? Because usually the top guys have crazy stuff to work with. Trent Richards, 6'5" deep threat from Wisconsin. The speed is not there, but he looks really freaky good. That's interesting. And there's some good tackles available. We're not really in the market for a tackle. We're in the market for a guard, possibly. Chris McDougal. He's another one of those corners. We're not going to use it on corner because we have them as our national scouts. So I don't really know what I want to use this on, to be fair. I probably want to use it on Trent Richard. Maybe on Jerome Armstrong. And then probably on... I don't know, maybe on George Pryor. I didn't really see if these guys were fast at all. George Pryor, I mean, none of these guys have crazy speed like they used to in Madden 24. Maybe they toned that down. Damian Rhodes, 6'4" speed rush. Okay, Damian Rhodes is a little bit more intriguing than the other dudes. So Damian Rhodes is definitely a guy that we want to look at, along with Trent Richard and Jerome Armstrong. Those are going to be our 3 focus guys. Hopefully one of them becomes a freak that we have to draft. And if I go to my draft picks, I'm not even sure how many draft picks we have, to be honest with you. So if we go to draft picks, we have the current 5th overall pick, but we don't have a 3rd or a 4th round pick. So that's going to be a little bit annoying not having that. They must have traded it for something in real life. I don't remember. All right, so now that we got that all figured out, let's finish up with negotiations here. We'll re-sign Byron Murphy. I'll give him $4 million and $4 million, and he should accept that. Yes, he's coming back, and I'll do similar things to Dalton Reisner, and we should be able to get both of them back and then not have to worry about them later. They're both coming back perfect. That still leaves us with $68 million, and I'm probably not going to spend it on anybody else here, so except for renewing or extending Louis Cine on the option. So we are good to go in free agency with a lot of money, but it's time to actually get to free agency. We're not going to make the playoffs. It's going to be a wasted first year, but it is what it is, and we will get into the offseason and hopefully bring in some people to not go 3-8 by week 13 next year. Okay, year number 1 didn't really go that great. We went 4-13, but it's a building year. It's the first year of the rebuild. The point is not to do amazingly, because then it wouldn't be a rebuild, obviously. JJ actually finished 3rd in the league in passing yards, which is not something that I expected at all. That is actually kind of wild. I mean, these are crazy good numbers. 4,100 yards, 29 touchdowns, a little bit too many interceptions with 14, but hey, these are still fantastic numbers. It's kind of wild, actually, that these are as good as they are. Aaron Jones, 969 and 10 touchdowns for him. That's a solid season. Three 1,000-yard receivers. Justin Jefferson, no surprise there, with 1,300. Trent Sheffield Sr. has 1,000 yards, and Jordan Addison has 1,000 yards. If I would have expected anybody to have 1,000 yards, it'd be T.J. Hawkinson, not Trent Sheffield. Sherfield, excuse me. I've been saying his name wrong the whole time. Trent Sherfield Sr. That just means that we need to get another receiver to replace him, because Sherfield is a cool player. He's not going to be the 3rd receiver on this team. It's just not. It's not in the cards. So Jordan Addison had a great year. Hawkinson had a good enough year. He just wasn't really a target. That seems like the tight end's not really a focus in this playbook, which is kind of concerning when you have such a good tight end. Cashman has 107 tackles. Ivan Pace had a killer year. That's good for his development. Fabian Moreau had a decent tackle season with 88. Byron Murphy had 83. Ginkel had 80. Tackle for loss leader was Jonathan Bullard with 12. Okay. Harrison Phillips had 11. Van Ginkel had 10. Sack leader was Van Ginkel with 5.5. Phillips with 4.5. 4 for Ivan Pace. 2 for Dallas Turner. Dallas Turner's not going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, but he did have an okay season. Seems like the playbook is not really suited for him. Maybe we have to go to Dallas playbook for that to happen. But a lot of interceptions, which is nice to see. And that is year number 1 in the books. We didn't make the playoffs, obviously. We won 4 games. But that's okay. Let's get to the Super Bowl. And then get to the offseason. And then get to the next season. And then get to the next offseason. And the next season. And win a championship. That's how it goes. It's going to be the Cowboys and the Ravens in the Super Bowl. No surprise that the Cowboys are involved in the Super Bowl. That's just what happens in Madden. Not in real life, but in Madden it happens. And the winner of the Super Bowl we can't see because I don't know why they would take that away. It's the Ravens who win the Super Bowl. See, that's just like the Cowboys, man. They get to the Super Bowl, but they can't get the job done. Dak wins MVP of the league. Lamar Jackson Player of the Year. Josh Hines Allen, which is just Jaguars Josh Allen. He just added Hines for his family or whatever. He's the Defensive Player of the Year. Caleb Williams Offensive Rookie of the Year. Jared Verse Defensive Rookie of the Year. With all that being done, did Harrison Smith call it a career? Questenberry called it a career, but I think that's the only Viking that ended things. It is, so we got bailed out that Harrison Smith does not retire. But we do probably need to trade him pretty soon so that we can get enough value for him before he ends up actually retiring. I think it may be after 1 season, maybe 2 seasons he retires. I don't know. It gets pretty close. I know that. All right, so let's get to the re-sign period because we need to make sure that we have everybody under contract, and we need to re-sign Louis Seen, who we'll accept his option for, his 5th-year option. Perfect. Harrison Phillips is 29. Do I want to spend that money on him? I don't really have a backup plan now that I think about it, so we might need to extend him for like maybe 2 more seasons. But this is a lot of money for a guy that I don't really have any plans for. He's going to come back. At least with $55 million. I just don't have any other plan for bringing him back or for filling that spot right now until we get to the whatchamacallits. They have given star development to Trent Sherfield after the 1,000-yard season that he had. Does that mean we bring him back? Oh, 29 years old, a 3-year deal. He's got star development now. I think there could be a place for him on the team, but I'm still looking to get another receiver anyway. So that's all the guys that I want to re-sign. Let's go straight to free agency. That still leaves us with like $40-something million, something like that. So we are still in nice position to bring in some talent. David Bakhtiari, but we don't need a tackle. There's JOK. We've talked about this on the Patriot 10-year rebuild that I did. I tried to get JOK, but I couldn't get him. Justin Simmons. Diamondor. Is it Diamondor? How do you say his? I'm just going to call him Lenore. I don't know how to say his name. I've heard it pronounced before, but I forget. Stephon Gilmore. Didn't he get signed by the Vikings in real life? I don't remember. He wasn't on this roster, so. Ryan Kelly's not going to be a long-term solution at center. None of these guys are really going to be long-term solutions. I kind of like the idea. We could bring A.J. Dillon to the team and just bring the Packers running backs. I kind of like the idea of Lenore and JOK being my 2 signings. I know that neither of them want to really be here, but we've got $48 million. I think we can make something happen here. And this could be my revenge for not getting JOK in the Patriot video, the Patriot season that we did. So, and I remember I had to pay him crazy money. We still didn't bring him in. How about that? Who's offering him a contract? Okay, so we are in the lead, but we're still not like ahead of anybody. And maybe we can bring in Lenore. This is probably going to be all of our money that I can even afford. So hopefully it works out. We're going to offer those 2 contracts. And we're going to hope and pray that they both accept their contracts. Did they sign with us? Neither of them signed with us? JOK signed with the Titans and Lenore signed with the Chargers. Wow, I didn't get any of the guys that I wanted. That leaves us with all that money still, though. That's kind of wild. I thought I'd get at least one of them. I thought I'd get Lenore because I was like a bar ahead of him in interest. But apparently He said, no thank you, I want to go play for Jimmy Harbaugh. Whatever, big dog, you go do you. I guess I'm just going to keep my money because there's not really anybody else there that I really want to sign, I don't think. That's kind of annoying, actually. I thought that I'd get... And it looks like David Bakhtiari signed with the Patriots, which is kind of crazy. I thought that I'd get those guys, but I just didn't. Okay, whatever. We can regroup. We have a top 5 pick in the draft because we were really bad this year. We were one of the worst teams in the NFC. The Giants were worse than us. The Commanders were worse than us, but nobody else was, in the NFC at least. So we should have a top 5 pick in the draft this year, which is cool. We'll be able to get somebody pretty awesome. It's free agent workouts, or it's free agent recap and private workouts. How good are those guys? So we know that Jerome Armstrong is a true 1-2 talent. Trent Richard is a round 1 talent. And we know that, where's the other guy at? Damian Rhodes is a true round 1-2 talent. I like that you don't have to get all the way up to 100% to find out their true talent. I like that 90% does it. Damian Rhodes still looks pretty good. He doesn't look phenomenal, but he does look pretty good. He looks better than like Van Ginkel or anything like that. It actually is Gerald Edwards being a top 5 talent. Another good corner who's got B&B. He's 6'1". If we need corner, this is the class to grab a corner. And we already knew that Manny Wheeler was going to be a top 5 talent. That's pretty obvious. How good is Trent Richard? He looks like he's a freak. He only ran a 4.5, but he's a great just overall wide receiver. He probably is a really good person to have on the team. He's probably a really good pick. I just don't know if that's where we need to go with our first round pick. I probably want to spend at least 1 on this center, and we need to focus on guards as well. So let's maybe use our last 2 on some guards or maybe on some defensive linemen, because we don't really have any real good leads on any defensive linemen, except for Jerome Armstrong, but he doesn't look that good, does he? But the defensive line class just doesn't look as good as I was hoping it might. So I might put 1 on Brian Lowry. And then I'll go to like the guards and put 1 on maybe William Townsend, and we hope that we get those guys up. So we'll do 2 offensive linemen and 1 defensive lineman. Do we need to trade Harrison Smith for another draft pick? Is that going to be a possibility? Is that even a feasible thing? Probably not a high first-round pick if it's a first-round pick at all. But what I can do is go into this and do my old schemes, which is purchase all of this good stuff to possibly make it easier to trade up in the draft. 1-for-1 picks, if you know what I mean. Purchase that. Make sure we buy these. Oh, and I'm out of staff points already. Okay, that's all right. We are making some good progress on that now. But I haven't even taken a look at the team yet. Let me take a look at development trade upgrades. Do we have anything like that? Natural progression. JJ has Superstar, which means he had Star before. I'm pretty sure he has Star, unless he just has... No, he does get... Super Bowl week, he does get his dev trade upgrade. So he does originally have star development, but he goes up to superstar. That is beautiful. For a 22-year-old to have superstar development in this stage of his career is great. Nobody else goes up except for we knew that Sherfield went up. Nobody else goes up on offense. On defense, Ivan Pace has star. Cam Bynum has superstar. Defensive line looks gross, but that's it for that. So Ivan Pace and Cam Bynum have grown. Okay, we're looking good. We need to get the defensive line figured out because the defensive line is pretty gross. Can I trade Harrison Smith for anything? But I don't know if I want to do that right now because I want him to be on my team until that very last moment when he's going to retire. And he probably won't even get us anything that good in the first place. What about if I trade Van Ginkel? What kind of value does he bring? Nothing too great. Alec Pierce is interesting. He's only 25. Ooh, well, that changes some things. Luke Van Ness and Noah Brown, which is cool, but Lucas Van Ness, 1-for-1 with Van Ginkel, absolutely. I'm not going to decline that. That's a huge pickup because Van Ginkel's somebody that I probably wasn't going to re-sign anyway, and bringing in Lucas Van Ness helps that defensive line look a little bit better than it did previously. So that's a huge pickup. Who else do I not really care about? I care about everybody at the top of this. Harrison Phillips is probably that next guy, but I don't really have a backup plan for him. What about Jonathan Grenard? I don't really want him. Paris Campbell, Mitch Morse. Mitch? Eric Stokes, Ramondre Stevenson. There's some decent value here. Eric Stokes is cool. He's only 26, but I'd be trading again with the Packers, which just feels weird. But they just keep giving me the best offers. Paris Campbell's in Philadelphia now? I didn't realize that. Eric Stokes being 26 years old is very intriguing. Very, very intriguing. I like this pick a lot. Or I like this package a lot. Do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? I don't know. I think I do. Take the trade. Grenard leaves. We get back another corner to add to the team. Who's young still. What about Blake Cashman? I'm completely decimating my linebacking core. Oh, it's only 2 options. That's not ideal at all, is it? What about if I toss in Harrison Phillips? DeAndre Hopkins, Josh Palmer, Romeo Doubs, Kyle Duggar. If I trade for Kyle Duggar, then we could trade Harrison Smith. But Duggar's pretty old anyway, so I don't really want to do that. I think I'm going to keep Cashman and Phillips on the team. I've made some interesting trades. We got back 2 young pieces from the Packers in 2 separate trades, which is kind of funny. But we bring back 2 defensive pieces, and that adds a little bit more intrigue to the defensive line. Because now Lucas Van Ness goes there. We need to figure out linebacker now. And there was a good-looking linebacker in the class. But now we add Eric Stokes to the cornerback room. This is going to be an intriguing draft, that is for sure. I need to take a look at the mock draft, though. I need to see where everybody's going. Mock draft number 5, show me the good stuff. So Manny Wheeler's going to go number 1 overall to the Raiders. The Raiders. Then they have us taking Jerome Armstrong. I'm not really feeling that. He didn't look that special. The corner, Gerald Edwards, is going to go 6 to the Colts. Trent Richard he looks like a really good wide receiver. Where's that other linebacker going to go? Is he going to go first round? Oh, he is. He's going to go 26 to the Lions. I think that if we could get back into the first round to get this player, I think that would be pretty good. I think that I would consider that a good draft. Is there any way? I'm not going to take that defensive lineman. He just doesn't look that good. Let's start drafting. And I'll skip the video because we've seen that before. I do have the ticker just naturally turned off in the settings thing, but I'm going to pause it anyway just in case. Okay, so number 1 overall pick is the Raiders. I'm not going to trade up for the number 1 pick, so they can take that corner. Manny Wheeler headed to Vegas. Then you've got the Commanders, and they take, who was that, Hutchins? So the linebacker Hutchins goes. The Giants take Flattery, the quarterback, so forget about Daniel Jones. And now it's us at number 4. Okay, so we either trade down or we just take the guy that I want to take at this spot. Now remember, we have to either trade with the Lions or we have to trade ahead of the Lions to make sure that we can get that receiver. Or not receiver, that linebacker. So they pick at 26. So we have to have a pick that's higher than 26, which would be this one. But I also want to draft 2 players, which is the big thing. So how do I do that? Nobody's offering me 2 first-round picks, which why would they? So pick number 4. Maybe if I trade down slightly. Is anybody giving me like pick 7 or something? No, the highest I can get is pick 10. So I think I might just have to either make my own trade or pick a player a little bit ahead of schedule. Because if we sort by true talent, Gerald Edwards is the final top 5 true talent player, which we could just grab. We could add him to the cornerback room of Eric Stokes and Byron Murphy, which would be pretty awesome. Jerome Armstrong just does not look that good. He's a 6'3" power rusher. He's got good speed. I mean, he looks a little bit better now that we've got him 100% scouted. He doesn't look like he's worth taking at number 4 overall. That's what I'm going to say. But Trent Richard certainly looks like he could be a guy that we take. But is this a waste at number 4 when we already have 2 wide receivers that we absolutely love, plus Trent Sherfield, who did enough? I don't know. Him only being a round 1 talent makes me happy, because if he was a top 5 talent, then obviously I'd have to grab him. But him only being a round 1 talent means that he's not going to be as good as possibly one of these corners is. I think I take one of the corners, or the only corner that's available. That's top 5. We take Gerald Edwards. He's a true top 5 talent. We know this. He looks good enough, and we add him to that cornerback room that we have. So Roger Goodell will announce our pick. We get one of the top 5 picks in the draft. We had to get him. We had to come away with a top 5 pick, and there he is, walking on screen. He's an A+ pick. He's the number 2 player in the draft. Well, that's awesome. He's got hidden development, obviously. 95 acceleration. 91 speed. He's 6'1". He's going to pair well with Murphy and Stokes. Okay. The number 2 player in the entire class, we got him at 4. How do we get back into the draft? Trade center. How do we get back into the draft? Because I do want that outside linebacker. I could just straight up trade with the Lions. How do we do this? What do they want? They want first round pick next year. They want Jordan Addison and Byron Murphy. They're asking for maybe a little bit too much. How about I give you a 2027 first round pick? Okay, that's already pretty solid. And then what about if I also toss in a player? Question mark? Like, you want CJ Ham? You want CJ Ham? Ham and cheese? I mean, they kind of like that. I could also give them Ty Chandler, because we don't need another running back. Ooh, that's actually very, very close. And then what about if I toss in another draft pick, like a 5th rounder in 2027? How's that? Trade offer declined. What about a 4th rounder in 2027? I don't really want to do that, but if it gets it even closer, then that's good. And then how about 2 7s this year? Because I don't really care about those 7s. So trade offer accepted. So CJ Ham, Ty Chandler, and a 1st in 2027 plus a bunch of extra random picks gets us back into the first round at number 26. That's projected where the guy was supposed to go. Now, hopefully he is still there at number 26, and somebody didn't take him beforehand. And he is still there. Damian Rhodes is available. Oh, wow, that's Stevie McCormick. I don't know who that was, but whoever the Saints got looked pretty good, actually. But this guy, Damian Rhodes, is my linebacker, hopefully, of the future. He is a B-. He's number 41 in true value. We got him at 26. So a little bit of a reach, but it's still a good pick. And thank God he has hidden development. 85 speed, 87 acceleration. He looks like a solid player, and he's 6'4" as well. So bada bing, bada boom, we get 2 first-round picks out of it. And then skip to the 2nd round, which is pick number 5 of the, or pick number 4 of the 2nd round. Where else do we go? I don't even really know where we do here. So we have a couple guys that are fully scouted. This guy, Brian Lowry, who we looked at. Oh, but I thought he had good speed. Is that why we scouted him, right? Because he had good speed? It goes to poor? That's kind of crazy. I wouldn't have scouted him if he didn't have... I could have sworn he had good speed. I guess not. We scouted this right guard, William Townsend. We might need to take him. I don't think we can justify taking another corner. So William Townsend is going to have to be our guy. He looks pretty good physically. He looks good enough skill-wise as well. William Townsend, ranked number 29 in true value. We got him at 36. I'll take that. And he does have hidden development. So we get an offensive lineman with hidden development. That fills the guard spot that we needed to fill. Unfortunately, we don't have a pick in the 3rd or the 4th round. So now we have to go all the way to the 5th round. We have 2 5th-round picks. We have a couple of guys fully scouted, or close to it. But there's no more talent that we know for sure, which is a little bit unfortunate. So we're going to have to just go off. Who has just the best raw speed? Can I sort by speed? I should be able to. Physicals. Who's got the best raw speed in the draft? So there's nobody else with elite speed in the draft. But there is a guy with elite acceleration. Carlos Sanchez. 5'9" deep threat. Great speed. Elite acceleration. 4.3 speed. He can't do anything, but he's fast. I'm taking him. Carlos Sanchez, welcome to the Vikings. He's number 102. He's a speed burner. Yeah, he's not good at anything but being fast. 95 speed, 97 acceleration. I guess he's our extra wide receiver. Instead of that Richard guy, I guess it's going to be Carlos Sanchez. And we pick again pretty soon after. Is there any other centers available? I know that one's gone now, but is there any other centers available, or do we have to keep riding it out with the centers we have? So we have a couple of undrafted guys, 70% scouted, but that's not really what I want. There's only one day 3 guy left. It's Jared Coleman. He looks decent. He's not going to be anything special, but I'm going to take him anyway because I don't really have any other options. So we'll get Jared Coleman. We reached on him. He's pretty bad, actually. He's pretty bad. I'm not even going to look at his stuff because he's going to be pretty garbage. But that is going to be the end of the draft. We came away with 2 really, really good pickups. Really, really good pickups. And that right guard ends up being pretty good too. But the 2 main pieces are the corner and the linebacker. We got Gerald Edwards, who has 91 speed. He's a 78 overall. 91 speed, 95 excel. And then we get Damian Rhodes, who's a 74. And Townsend ends up being a 74 as well. The rest of the guys aren't that great, but we got Carlos Sanchez specifically for the speed. So that's pretty cool. Also took a decently fast running back in Kalavon Joseph. I never know how to say that name. Why name people like that? I can't pronounce it. So the best player in the draft was obviously Manny Wheeler. No surprise there. But Gerald Edwards ends up being the second best player in the class, which we knew he was. But he ends up being a 78 overall. And Trent Richard ends up being a 77. Please do not have anything better than star development, or I'm going to be a little bit sad I passed on you. Please, 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 please. He's got X Factor. No! No! Whoa, X Factor for Trent Richard. Oh, I hate it. I hate it here. I want to stab myself with a toothpick. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh my god. X Factor, are you serious? Are you cereal right now? Are you Lucky Charms? I can't believe it, man. How do we miss on an X Factor? Townsend's going to start right away because they're both 74 overall. Oh. How do we miss on him? How do we miss on him? We're going to put Sanchez at number 4 receiver. Defensively, Rhodes will start. Defensive line looks a little bit gross, but we'll figure it out. Special teams. I want to make slot receiver not Sherfield anymore. I want to make it Sanchez, actually. Because I want to see if he can grow and have a crazy season like Sherfield does. Because if he has like star development, he's already 97 speed. He's a freak. All right, but that's year number 2, or year number 1 in the books. We'll see how we do with year number 2. We just lost. How many games did we lose? We lost some amount of games. I don't remember exactly. Was it 4 games we won? I think it might have been. I don't remember. Whatever. Hopefully we play a little bit better than last year. We're still in the Vikings playbooks. J.J. McCarthy had a good year. He even went up to superstar development, so hopefully he can maybe go up to X Factor. That'd be pretty awesome. But I think that we might be a little bit better than last year. But I guess we'll have to find out. I'll see you guys at the end of year number 2. We wrapped up year number 2 with this Vikings rebuild. And we improved. We won 8 games this year, which is a big improvement over year number 1. So I'm happy about that. I'm very curious to see how some of these stats played out. Because JJ didn't have as big of a passing year, but he did have a lot of touchdowns. 3,900 yards, 38 touchdowns, 13 picks. It seems like JJ is just going to be an interception guy, double-digit interception guy in this playbook. That just seems like how it's going to happen. And I can live with that, especially if he's putting up 38 touchdowns. Rushing, Aaron Jones does get over 1,000. Good for him. Receiving, we got 1,000 yards from Justin Jefferson and 9 touchdowns. Jordan Addison almost got 1,000. And Carlos Sanchez in the slot receiver role is most likely going to be star development when we take a look at him, because he had 922 and 11 touchdowns. So we replaced Sherfield with a younger, faster, probably even arguably better player in Carlos Sanchez. Happy about that. Hawkinson also had a pretty solid year. Defensively, Ivan Pace, 110 tackles. Cashman, 85. Smith, 81. 77 for Stokes. Tackle velocity was Harrison Phillips with 16. Then Van Ness with 8. Sack leader was Dallas Turner with 6. That's what I like to see. 5 from Phillips and 5 from Van Ness. Cashman had 3. Interception leader was Byron Murphy with 3. Stokes with 2. Smith with 1. And a couple of guys with 1 as well. So Edwards and Rhodes both had a pick. So good rookie years from them. All right. We didn't make the playoffs here in year number 2. That's okay. Totally fine. It's still only year number 2. We're still developing. And I want to get to the Super Bowl to see any dev trait upgrades. I don't think that JJ is going to go up to X Factor. He didn't have that crazy of a season. But I do think we should be expecting Carlos Sanchez to win, or not to win, to go up to superstar, to star development, not superstar. He does get an extra skill point, so he's already a 76 overall. I forget what he started at. Was he a 69? I forget what he was. Whatever he was not a high overall. But I do expect him to be star, and he is. JJ is X Factor. Wow, I did not think he had that good of a year to go up to X Factor, but he does. He is now an X Factor receiver. We will move Sanchez up to the actual number 3 spot. Keep him in the slot receiving role, though. JJ McCarthy is now an X Factor quarterback. Offensive line's looking pretty solid still. We need to figure out that center spot. How about the defense? Dallas Turner stays. Rhodes has superstar. The drafting god returns? Can you really decline that I'm the drafting god after drafting Rhodes, trading back into the first round to get him? Edwards has star. We need to figure out this defensive line, and we need to figure out a running mate for Ivan Pace. But the team's looking pretty solid. JJ going up to X Factor is not what I expected at all. I did not think he had a season good enough to go up to X Factor, but he does. He does. And it's the Ravens, and I think it was the Eagles, right, in the Super Bowl. So we'll see who gets the job done. The Ravens won the first year, and they will lose this year. Dak wins another MVP. Carlos Sanchez wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. No wonder he goes up. Although he probably would have just went up naturally. He had that good of a year. Maybe we need to go to the Dallas offense, because it seems like Dak Prescott wins MVP every single season. Maybe that's what we need to do. But I will give the Vikings one more shot in their own playbook. I'm not going to just go straight to it. So year number 3, we will run Viking offense and Viking defense. And then after year number 3, if we don't continue to improve and stuff, then we will change some things. And I didn't capitalize on Harrison Smith, and he does end up retiring. Darn it. I forgot. I forgot to capitalize on Harrison Smith, trading him before he retired. That sucks. I probably could have got at least something for him. That's my fault. I just forgot about it. Jordan Addison, we will clearly accept his option. Lucas Van Ness, we'll accept his option. I re-signed a couple of guys already, so we don't have to worry about that. I probably need to re-sign Garrett Bradbury, just because I don't have a center option right now. So we need to have him just in case, and he is going to come back. So that leaves us with $57 million to figure out the game plan in the offseason. Hopefully we don't strike out on every single person like we did year number 1. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Sign free agents. Who's going to be available for the big dogs? It's George Kittle. That's kind of awesome. But he really wants to be here too. I can't do it. I can't do it. We already have TJ Hawkinson. That'd be a waste of money. Bakhtiari only signed a 1-year deal with the Patriots. Joe Tooney is here, but do we need a left guard? We have Dalton Reisner. We could move Reisner to center, or maybe Joe Tooney to center. That's an option. It's not a great option, but it's an option. Who else is on this free agent list? Not really many people that I'm super interested in. There's some names in here, but nobody that, like, tickles the pickle. I'm not seeing anything too crazy at all. Yeah, this is just kind of just guys at this point. There's just people here. They're just bodies. Except for Alontae Taylor. I am a big Alontae Taylor guy. I do like him a lot. I think I'll give him a 3-year deal. $3 million, $2.5 million, and we'll hopefully bring him in. Do I go after... Would it be so stupid to go after one of these guys? It probably would, right? Especially Kittle, because Hawkinson's not even getting that much usage. So it'd be waste of money on Kittle. I can't do that. But Joe Tooney could be cool. But I feel like that's a waste of money too. Is it a waste of money? It probably is, right? I think we just stick with the guy that we targeted, Alontae Taylor. And he does sign with us. Kittle signed with the Chargers. The Chargers are spending a lot of money, it looks like. Oh, Reed Blankenship was here. I didn't go down, or I didn't even recognize or register that he was there. I would have signed him. I love white boy players, especially in the secondary. So I think we'll sign Alontae Taylor. That'll be another corner to add to the team, but I think we'll just keep our money. That's probably for the best. It wouldn't make sense to have Joe Tooney here because Reisner's still a solid player and Tooney's 33. I'd rather just get a young center. We already have our wide receiver, so we don't have to focus on that. Defensively, we need a linebacker to pair alongside Pace. I'm going to stick with Metellus at strong safety because I do think he can develop. We have now corners that I trust in Alontae Taylor and Mekhi Blackman, alongside, obviously, the three starters. We need to get a linebacker, and we need to get two defensive linemen, a tackle and an end. And those guys will fix the defense. So let's go to the draft. I'm not sure what pick we have, considering we had a solid season, just missing out on the playoffs. We could take a look at mock draft number 5. Okay, so I don't like seeing the Patriots at the top of this board. We pick with number 13. Would they have us taking a defensive end, Larry Rowe? Well, I'm not going to do that. Jack Black is a top 5 talent, which I was hoping he wasn't, so I didn't have to trade up to get him, but he is. Which is frustrating and annoying, and I don't like it. But Greg Lentz is also a first-round pick. Why do they do this to me? That's my running mate with Ivan Pace, is Greg Lentz. So how do we do this? How do we get Jack Black and Greg Lentz? Well, we probably do the same thing that we did last year to trade up with the Lions. That's probably what we do. And yes, I understand his name is Jack Black. That's one of the reasons why I want to get him, to be fair. All right, let's do private workouts here. I did go through the center position, and the center position's not great this year. There's one guy that's around 2 to 3, but everybody else kind of blows. So we'll have to look elsewhere. Maybe a guard that we turn into a center is possible. But I don't know if there's a guy that's going to be good enough to even accomplish that. I guess we'll scout Chris Wilbon. Maybe we scout... These guys look kind of garbage, though. And the only other position we're looking for is defensive tackle. There's a lot of possible round 1 to 2 projections at D-tackle, which is kind of worrying to me, but I'll scout you, and then we'll scout... We already have defensive ends locked up. There's not a lot of top 5 true talents, is there? I guess we'll have to do one of these guards. I'll do Jamal Thomas. Those will be my 3 guys that we work on. Maybe one of them can become a starting center for us. You never know. So we have to trade up to number 10, which is not that far of a trade up. It's not that far of a trade up. Because if we move up from 13 to 10, we shouldn't have to go up that far. And I think Denver had it. Denver has 10, so we might just be able to get this through. Oh, it's very close. It's like uber close. What about if I give a number 7 or around 7? That gets close. What about if I give another 7? That gets close. What about if I give another 7? Who cares about 7th round picks? Let's be honest. That gets very close again. Luckily, I have another 7. Man, that is just scraping the barrel to get that pick to go, or to get that trade to go through. So we trade up to number 10. We can now take Jack Black. But we need to get into the space, or the position to take the other guy. So now we have pick number 10. We can take Jack Black. But we need to get in position to take Greg Lentz at number 19. How do we trade up to get number 19? It's probably doing the same thing that we did last time to trade up to get the Lions pick, although the Lions pick was farther down the board, wasn't it? It was like 26 or something, so it's going to be a little bit more tricky to do this. But I think it should work. So the Raiders have it. Raiders. They have pick number 19. What do they want? They want a first-round pick. They want a first-round pick. They want a first-round pick. I don't know if I can conceivably give you a first-round pick, if I'm being honest. But I might be able to give you a 2028 first-round pick. That's very close. Can I do what I did last time with giving, like, backup running backs or something? I only have 4 wide receivers on the roster. That's all I need, really. We need... Oh, both these guys are right guards. No wonder it's telling me to get a left guard. We need to trade... Oh, I don't really have... Oh, God, my depth is not good, is it? My depth is not good. I'm going to toss in Blake Cashman. Oh, that works a lot. That works a lot. Thank you, Blake. I appreciate your dedication to the grind, big dog. That is so much closer than I would have wanted it to be, because I'll toss in a 6th round pick as well, and then it'll go through. Bada bing, bada boom. We get 2 first-round picks in this year's draft. Now, the next 2 years, we don't have any first-round picks, but that's for future juice to figure out. Start drafting. Give me this. Is it going to play every single year? All right, start drafting. Number 1 pick in the draft is whoever. It doesn't really matter. It's a left tackle. Let's skip to my pick at number 10. All right. Give me what I want. Jack Black is available, and Jack Black is my guy. He's a top 5 true talent. He's a great player. He's even so good. He's number 5 in true talent. He's even so good that he might move somebody else down to the defensive line. He's that good. And then we have pick number 19. So we will go all the way to that pick and hopefully grab somebody else that's pretty good, including Greg Lentz, who's just a stud, also a top 5 true talent. Elite speed at linebacker is pretty crazy. Greg Lentz, welcome to the team. More than enough speed to play linebacker. He's number 4 in true value. He has 91 speed, 92 acceleration. Yeah, he's a freak. He's a freak, and it was well worth trading all my first-round picks to get him. Then we go to the 2nd round, and we need to get either like a guard or something. A defensive tackle, which there's a defensive tackle available here in Rashad Whitfield. Whitfield. It's just Whitfield. I'm smart. We're going to take him. Defensive tackle, Rashad Whitfield, number 42 in true value. No development trait. Darn it. Darn it, darn it, darn it, darn it, darn it, darn it. That's okay. Still a good player. And now we're into the 3rd round. Feels good to actually have a 3rd round pick. Into the 3rd round, we need to take a defense or an offensive lineman. Preferably a guard or a center. And it looks like our guy here, Chris Wilbon, is the best option we have. He could probably play center if we need him to, so we're going to grab him. And hopefully he's got a development trait. He doesn't, but he still could be pretty good. So that's a big pickup. I think we're coming away with a pretty solid class here. Pretty solid class. 4th round pick will probably be the final pick that I make. We'll simulate out of it. Who else is available? Who else do we have fully scouted? We've got a couple of defensive ends that are fully scouted. Is there any freaks? Is there any freaks available? There's one speed guy, and it's a defensive line, or it's a linebacker, actually. Okay. Harvey Polite. I'm going to take him. Might as well. If he's got elite speed, he can't be that bad. Oh, actually, he could be. He's got hidden development, though. So maybe he ends up being something. That's going to be the final pick that I make. We will end the draft. Let the CPU simulate the rest. I mean, getting those 2 linebackers in the 1st round is going to be game-changing. Those are studs. Absolute studs. Let's find out just how good they are. So we've got ourselves a 76 overall in Jack Black, and then a 77 overall in Greg Lentz. A 73 in Rashad Whitfield, or Whitfield. Why do I keep doing the Itfield? It's just Whitfield. Chris Wilbon's a 72. That's nice. 61 for Harvey Polite, but we drafted him solely for his speed. Then they took Josh Howe, and they took Marcus Daniels as well. Okay, that's cool. But Harvey Polite's got a development trait. It's probably only star, but still, it is a development trait. Best player in the class was Billy Schaefer, left guard, tight end Sidney Merriweather, and then Hunter Richard. But then we got the next two. So, W's. WWWWWW in chat. I'd say that's a successful draft, coming away with some good pieces. But now we have to figure out where everybody fits on the team. Because, yeah, we have a lot of good talent, but they play the same positions. So we have to figure out where everybody fits in this world. Okay, so wide receivers figured out. We've got enough wide receivers. Here we go. So what I would do is probably send Jack Black to the defensive line. But also, I wonder what Dominic Rhodes is on the defensive line. Let me move. He's a 79 right now. Let me move him to, what is it, right end or left end? Let me move him to right end. And then we'll see. We'll evaluate if he's better, if he's a better fit. So we'll move him to right end. Why does everybody start their position like they're in a boy band? We'll move him to right end. He ends up being a 79, so he stays the same, which moves Jack Black back to starter. Dominic Rhodes probably will thrive down there on the defensive line. Okay, this team is coming together really, really quickly. I like this. We've now got a running mate for Ivan Pace, which is what I've been talking about. Jack Black and Greg Lentz are going to be freaks because they're super fast. I like this team a lot. I think year number 3 could be different. Remember, if we don't do anything crazy this year, if we still miss the playoffs and everything like that, then we will move to another playbook. But we are still going to be in Minnesota Viking playbooks for right now. So with this updated team, let's go see if J.J. McCarthy can have a dominant year. We finished year number 3, and I mean, it's finally time. The Vikings have finally rebuilt themselves into a competent team. 12 wins on the back of J.J. McCarthy, who looks like had a resurgent season. 4,400 yards is crazy. He's the second leading passer in the NFL, along with 38 touchdowns, and he dipped under double-digit interceptions with 8. So J.J. McCarthy had a fantastic season. Definitely in the running for MVP. Don't know if he's going to win it or not, but he definitely is in the running for it. Rushing, 900 yards and 10 touchdowns for Aaron Jones. Very solid. Receiving, back to now 1,000 yards for both Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Not a shocker there. 15 touchdowns for Jefferson. This could be Offensive Player of the Year numbers. Hawkinson played pretty well. Carlos Sanchez gets some good stuff. And it says he's an... Oh, that's because he won Rookie of the Year. I was going to say. It says he's an award winner, but he won Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. That's right. So he gets some good numbers. Defensively, Greg Lentz gets 97 tackles. Ivan Pace gets 91. Edwards with 83. 79 for Cam Bynum. Tackle for loss leader was Harrison Phillips with 13. Van Ness had 10. So did Dallas Turner. Sack leader was Greg Lentz, the middle linebacker. I knew he was going to be a freak. 5 sacks for him. 4.5 for Harrison Phillips and Van Ness. And Damian Rhodes. Did I say Dominic Rhodes? I meant Damian Rhodes. Damian Rhodes, 4.5. 4 for Ivan Pace, 2.5 for Dallas Turner, and then 4 interceptions for Byron Murphy is pretty cool. Cam Bynum had 3, Pace had 2, 1 for a couple other guys. Very good season all around, and we made the playoffs. And not just the playoffs, we made it as the #1 seed in the NFC, starting in the divisional round against our division rival, the Green Bay Packers. Can we get the job done and go to the NFC Championship? Come on, Green Bay. They lose. Beautiful. Vikings will take on the Eagles in the NFC Championship game. And you know what? I'm jumping in. We haven't gotten a lot of Madden gameplay on the channel just yet. We're jumping in to try to get this W against the Eagles. But we can take a look at this team yet before we jump in to see how we're playing. So we got some good boosts, some morale boosts. I mean, Townsend's up to an 84, 85 with the morale boost. I did have to re-sign Brian O'Neill, so he's been re-signed. The team is looking really, really good. The team's playing really crazy. The drafting god has returned again. Greg Lentz is an X factor at linebacker. Jack Black's only a star, but hey, I drafted Damian Rhodes and Greg Lentz both with X factor and superstar just naturally. So I'd say I am the drafting god. And I traded back into the first round to get both of those guys because we took Gerald Edwards and Jack Black with our original picks. So Drafting God. I tell you what, make some merch. It's the Drafting God. Corners are looking good. Josh Metellus had a solid season. He's developing. That's good to see. Hopefully he goes up to star, but I don't think he had that crazy of a year. But we are going to jump in and try to help the Minnesota Vikings go to the Super Bowl because I would love to win a championship. It is the NFC Championship game at home in Minnesota against the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the Eagles at the end of the day, so we can't take them lightly. We have to dominate them. Tied at 7. Now it's 10-7. 17-7. I like the sound of that. But they get a touchdown back. We get something back, 24-14. It's back and forth, really back and forth here in the third quarter. Come on. Come on. 31-14. Build that lead. 10-point lead. Oh, my God. Philadelphia is clawing back. I don't like this at all. Come on, boys. Get the job done. I think we did it. We did it. 31-28. We hold on against the Eagles, and we go to the Super Bowl. That was not an easy task, and we did it. We beat the Philadelphia Eagles. J.J. McCarthy in year 3 will take the Vikings to the Super Bowl. Thank you, baby Jesus. Woo! That was close. I thought the Eagles were going to come back there. It really felt like they were. It really felt like they were going to come back. But we get the job done. Jordan Addison gets an upgrade point. That's cool. And we go to the Super Bowl to take on some team. I don't know who it's going to be, but we take on some sort of team. And we're only in year number 3. And I remember, I haven't even changed the playbooks yet. We are still in we're still in Minnesota playbooks, which is pretty awesome. And look at that. Carlos Sanchez gets an upgrade point. JJ gets an upgrade point. And we're taking on the Ravens, who I think have been in the previous 2 Super Bowls. They won the first one, and I think they lost the second one. So they're going to try to get another one for them. But I want to get one for the city of Minneapolis. Let's go and get a championship for the Vikings. It is the Super Bowl here for your Minnesota Vikings in year number 3 of the rebuild. It's crazy that we are even in year number 3 of the rebuild and already playing in the Super Bowl. But, I mean, that's just the development and the great drafting that we've had over the past couple of years, trading all of our first-round picks to get extra picks, or to get extra first-round picks in the same draft to get some stud players. And it seems to have worked out, at least for right now. But it won't be counted as a success unless we're holding that Lombardi at the end of the night. 16-13 against the Ravens, by the way, who have been in the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure every single season we've done this rebuild. And we are, oh, okay, we're cooking their goose. Usually it's us getting our goose cooked, but the goose is on the other foot now. 33-16, that's the ball game. The Minnesota Vikings are world champions. J.J. McCarthy blows out the Baltimore Ravens, and we've done it. We've completed the rebuild, and we get to see the new celebration. Put the ring on the finger. I mean, the Gatorade bath for head coach, what's his face? What's the head coach of the Vikings? I'm blanking on his name right now. O'Connell, Kevin O'Connell, that's his name. And J.J. McCarthy getting some interviews done as the confetti falls. One of my favorite players of all time, Randy Moss, the GOAT, is holding low. I feel like this is a little disrespectful to Randy Moss. He never got a championship in real life, and now he's being forced for eternity to take one down to the commissioner. That feels a little disrespectful, but we do get to hold a Lombardi. We can consider the Vikings rebuild a success, and the first rebuild of Madden 25 has been completed. A successful attempt by me. Would you expect anything else? I am the drafting god at the end of the day. Did you expect me to fail? And to be fair, we started with a already pretty well-constructed football team. But don't hold that against me. Don't hold that against me, because there were still some very crucial pieces to add to this squad. If we generate the best lineup, we added Will Townsend, who is a stud guard, added to this team, and he was great. The drafting of Carlos Sanchez might go down as one of the better moves I made, because he was that crucial piece that we needed. He was a stud, and he's only going to continue to get better. I mean, this dude is a freak. He's 5'9". He's just a little dude, but he's got 95 speed, 97 excel. His hands are great. I mean, he's just a perfect slot receiver. He's just a great slot receiver. And then to pair him alongside Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, I mean, it's the great combo. And then obviously we turned J.J. McCarthy into a stud of a player in 3 seasons. And remember, we didn't change the playbooks at all. We didn't change the playbooks one iota. It is the Minnesota playbook that got us here and got J.J. McCarthy to develop the way that he did. And then on defense, I mean, making the trade for Lucas Van Ness was big. Cam Bynum goes up to X Factor. Ivan Pace is now superstar. I mean, Damian Rhodes ends up being a great player for us in just 2 seasons. He had superstar development right out the gates. Again, drafting God. Do I have to really say more about it? He's fantastic. Making the trade back into the first round to get Greg Lentz, who we knew was going to be just an unbelievable player. A rookie with X Factor and already these great stats. I mean, he's got 91 speed at inside linebacker. That is crazy. If his block shed gets a little bit better, he's going to be unstoppable. Absolutely unstoppable. He's a freak. He's a once-in-a-lifetime type of linebacker. And his running mate, Ivan Pace, ended up developing really, really well. Dallas Turner's a freak. He's great. And then Jack Black didn't really even get to shine that much, but he's still a great player in his own right. I mean, he's a freak as well. He's just not as utilized in this type of defensive playbook that a guy like Greg Lentz is, or even Dallas Turner. But this was a fantastic rebuild. It was a great way to kick off the rebuilding year here in Madden 25, kick off the cycle. I had a great time. We rebuilt a fun team, and we turned them into Super Bowl champions. Who's the next team that I rebuild? I have absolutely no idea who that's going to be. It might be another team that has a rookie quarterback. Maybe we go Commanders with Jaden Daniels. That's a possibility. I don't know. But like I said in the intro, if you have any suggestions for teams you want to see me rebuild, whether it's your favorite team or just a team that has interesting talent on it, then leave it down below in the comments. Also, if you want to see me rebuild a team with a challenge attached to it, let me know down below as well. I've already got some ideas cooking in the oven, so be on the lookout for that. If you enjoyed the video, leave it a like, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I truly appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.